Good afternoon. I'm Sally Munro, and thank you for joining me here today. It's Thursday, and what a beautiful day. The sun is shining. It's a little chilly, but it's better than snow. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. And today, as usual, it's Thursday. So since I don't pay attention, because my favorite guy, Leonardo, is usually here on Thursday to bring us up to speed on investment information and what's been going on. But before we get Leo online, I just wanted to say, all of a sudden, not hearing as much talk about COVID-19. So I'm not sure if I guess it must be great news, right? Great news for sure, right? So, yeah, 1 minute we're all locked down for over 2 months, and I know that the numbers have fallen, and people are finding ways to move around and are keeping themselves safe. So let's hope that we don't have a resurgence of this in the fall, as many people are predicting, right? So, but I just want to, but I'm anxious to hear from Leo today. So let's see, what did I do wrong today? Yeah, even though we're here every day, and typically I'm getting better and better at this, running the studio myself. We've learned so much every day for over 2 months, right? So I'm hoping that Leo clicks in and he'll come on board. Today too, well, it's pretty windy out in Lark Hill Estates, in Lark Hill subdivision out in Sherwood Park. Well, I wanted to show you, let's see, here, I'm going to show you this. And we're happy to announce, I mean, every time that we're here, we're always showcasing things that are for sale. But how about we show you something that we've been marketing for a few months, and we are excited that we actually, yes, we have an offer pending, and this is 205 Lark Hill Farms in Sherwood Park. This beautiful estate property. We have a lovely family that's fallen in love with this place, and I know that they're going to be very, very happy here. And of course, today on location, we're doing the property inspection. So yeah, it's a pretty awesome piece of real estate. It's nice and green now, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I hope it all works out today. So usually property inspections are highly recommended. It gives people some sort of point of reference of what's been happening with the property, and especially see this mechanical system, right? And so people like to make sure all these things are in working order and get a tutorial while they're at it. This has this massive oversized garage plus a detached workshop. But look how gorgeous this is. It does back on to the conservation area. So it's very private. It's not unusual to see lots of deer and moose and lovely animals. Look at the fountain. The fountain is just lovely. So it's the right time of the year if you're making a move and want room to grow and room to breathe. There's that detached workshop. So of course, lots of room to putter around and just enjoy the space, throw the football around, just sit, light a fire, and enjoy this beautiful property. So here's hoping the property inspection goes really well today, and this lovely property that was custom built for its original owners will be the new home of some very, very lovely people. Right, and as usual, right, we have details on all of our listings. We give you the PDF plan that you can, in fact, download. And yeah, it's beautiful. So in the meantime, I will just play this just for a second so you can get a feel for this home, just for a minute, and I will be back. Hang in there. So as you can see, this a beautiful property in Lark Hill Farms. We're delighted to say that we have an offer pending. We came to terms. So for sure, thank you for taking the time to look at this. There's more details on our website, and we'll report back to you, right, in a couple of days, whether we've successfully sold this beautiful estate property in Strathcona County. And joining me today, it's Thursday, and let's welcome Leonardo. Right, Leonardo, as you guys all know, is from the Scotiabank, and we always love to hear from Leo. And so please join me in welcoming Leonardo. There we are. Leonardo, you're there.
I am there.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, how
Leonardo,
are
this day from the Scotiabank. How are you? It's so lovely to see you today.
you? Good to see you. It's been a week, and it seems like it was yesterday, but it also seems like it was a long time ago. So I don't know what's going on.
It is a little surreal. It does seem like it was yesterday, but then you're right. It seems like when you think about it, I don't know. Don't know what's going on with time, Leonardo. But I'm pleased to hear from you, because it does seem like yesterday, but I know a whole week's gone by. So tell us what's been going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, overall, we have a strong a strong push towards a recovery. There's a lot of restored confidence in the markets, keeping in mind that sometimes there is a difference between the economy of a nation and the stock market. Wealth goes to the market sometimes, but the economy might not be as rosy as the markets may indicate. So all I want to say with that is that yet again, the markets are trending towards a positive direction. There is restored confidence that the severity of the crash we had a few months ago, or the severity of the crash has gone away, and one interesting factor is that there's some data out there showing that private businesses in the U.S. did not lose as many jobs as expected in May. So that is great news. Another thing that restores confidence in the market at this point is the Bank of Canada held its rates. So they held the benchmark overnight rate is steady at 0.25%. And it's a good news for two reasons. It is in line with what economists were expecting. So the economists were expecting something like that, and the Bank of Canada delivered, indicating that there is a understanding that the situation here is stable with the impact of COVID. The question remains, will the Canadian economy and the financial markets continue to move forward? And I think we will have to wait and see. There is a strong possibility that the financial markets are recovered, or have been recovering, or will continue to be recovering, depending on what your point of measurement is in all of this, and that the economy would lag behind, and that's kind of what it's looking at, in my opinion, now.
Well, I think overall it's sounding far more optimistic than originally predicted.
Yeah, I think this whole thing has been a situation with all the market crashes are a situation without comparison, and this one was particularly concerning because not only was it global, but it has been a health one. Mm-hmm. Now, in line with that optimism, and one would have to, with all kind of data sets, one would always has like an asterisk to see, with any kind of report of the data. But I saw information out there stating that in Wahoo they had checked about almost 4 million people and there were no people with cases with COVID. There were a few asymptomatic ones, but they were talking about 0.03% or 0.02%.
Very, yeah, very
Some
small.
quite low numbers, especially if they are checking 4 million people, which is a massive.
It's a lot.
So, if we are measuring, if we are making similar comparisons, as long as the health policy is in place, and then we're talking about a 4 or 5 month possible disruption to a position where the rates of contagion seem so low
Hmm.
that that seems normal anyway. So that's that's optimistic too. I guess
Well, it is when you think now, it's almost. I mean, every day it was countless hours of COVID of reports and COVID, 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 and for example, you take a look at CNN. I think that it's all changing, right? What they're reporting on, right? COVID doesn't seem to be as astronomical the numbers as originally predicted, but it could very well be that the immediate action that everyone took has certainly flattened the curve for sure.
Yeah,
And
North America has had a fair warning from other nations, so that certainly I think helped. I was talking to a doctor 2 days ago, and we're talking about the idea that had it been the other way around, had it started in like Vancouver, like or Seattle or something like that, like had it could have very well been an inverse situation where the health sectors would have been scrambling here, and then
yes,
the health sectors across the globe would have been a little bit more prepared because
true.
the trial the trial guys were us. But anyway, I digress, as it's not a
No,
strictly
no. But
market
based
topic.
on the population, right? The global population and the numbers, I mean, the loss of one life is always traumatic, but the economic shutdown of the globe, right? There's no question. I mean, the economy has been affected, and it'll take us a while to probably, like you say, dig ourselves out of the rubble. But the devastation is not as far-reaching or as deathly as they originally predicted. So I think it's optimistic, and it's great news that the numbers are very low,
Yeah,
and the market is rebounding, or investments are. People are looking for ways to move forward and create income, and I'm sure that different in Alberta, I hope they're looking at how do we stimulate jobs. But anyway, I'll give it back to you, Leo. You're right.
so
We
yeah,
digress.
so if anything, I think I'll speak super briefly about like one situation that happened in the stock market about last week, which
Okay.
was that I talked about that some of the big leading companies in the Standard and Poor 500, which were Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, were leading in returns. And one thing that again latches onto this optimism on a and this is just on a small scale, but you know some of those stocks had a little bit of a sell off because those had a little bit of a sell-off, and pre-COVID stocks started to see a rise, airline stocks and a few other ones. So the idea here, and just like an academic one, is that that might also be a sign that on the market level that there is restored confidence, because now people have, essentially sold the COVID stocks. I don't have a better word for it, and are getting and are getting back into the pre-COVID stocks.
Right.
Again, no better word for it. Now, when we take a look at all this in how I help my customers, the whole the most important part to any of this is I don't base my advice on opportunistic moves. I base my advice on meeting a target retirement date,
Hmm.
and meeting a end of retirement date with an investment, a, a, an investment portfolio that will meet the annual or monthly income or exceed them if that's necessary, of the person. So I guess with what I'm trying to say there is on my level, the preparation or the planning is key, which is a good analogy to how, for example, Canada and Alberta have prepared and planned for COVID coming across.
Hmm.
So being able to do that and kind of looking into in this case next few months, next few years, and on a planning level, next half a decade and a decade and a half, and maybe 2 decades, or more, then while having a plan and being prepared, one can reduce those, you know, crazy moves on the downside, or have income severely affected, or anything like that. So I think there's a strong analogy for planning, for anything on both levels, um, and I hope that there are that people who are listening do have their financial plan. But if you don't, I can certainly assist with providing you with one.
Well, time and time again, every week we talk about if you don't have a plan, it's never too late to start a plan.
Yeah,
And I have to say that I continue with every file I work on. I bring up the question, do we have a plan after this? We sell and we take all this money out of the marketplace. We downsize, we upsize. We need a plan. We need all those plans now more than ever in place.
yeah,
And I think, I'm certainly hoping. I mean, I've learned lots of lessons during 2 months of, it was basically panic and shut down, and you get to regroup and rethink, and you're going, wow, right? I think people saw how short everything can be, and how fast and how quick everything moves, right? It
yeah,
saddens me what is occurring right now in North America and various cities with respect to, you know, uh, it started with Floyd
yeah,
George, right? But hopefully, people try to understand. I mean, it is 2020. We really do need to focus and move forward. We are all just people, and people with the same goals and aspirations for our children and our grandchildren, and we need to continue to work as a collective. But for sure, a plan is it's more important now. I think a lot of clients that I work with, when they look back, they say to me, it's like you said, it seemed like it was yesterday we chatted, but in fact it was 7 days. But then when you look back, it just then can also in the same moment seem like forever, right?
yeah,
It's all happening so quickly. And when, I'm working right now with clients who have decided, well, you know what, COVID has made them accelerate their retirement plans, and so be it. How many more years do you really want to be working for a retirement plan when you should really be thinking now of retiring and putting the right things in place that you can actually enjoy whatever days that we have left. And
that's actually a good point. I've run across a few cases like that recently, where
mhm,
um, you know there's two cases that I can think of that we started meeting right before the situation. And they
mhm,
were like, well, maybe I'll retire when I'm 63. In the middle of this, we were still working on this plan because it was evolving. And they're like, oh, I don't know if we'll be able to make it, maybe 65. And then they're like, or maybe even 67. We might have to stay into the workplace longer because there was a concern about how COVID would have impacted
mhm,
assets, essentially, and income levels. And during one of the follow-up meetings, their in both cases their perception changed and said, well, I mean, I think coming out of it, coming out of it and saying this was very uncomfortable, and it was also very uncomfortable. I was in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can make it, if I can reduce this by 2 or 3 years or more, let's see if we can make this happen. Because as your customers had indicated, maybe there is a benefit in just enjoying. Well, there definitely is a benefit in
Mm-hmm.
enjoying.
Now, right? So, and I think a lot of people realize that they didn't need as much to move forward with a retirement plan for sure. Because when you're locked down inside, how much really are you using? And then you realize, do you really need it as much space as you're in? So, there's nothing wrong with it. And yeah, it's happening around us. And I encourage it. I mean, if you'd rather be on a golf course, then make it work, make it happen, right? And
I agree.
that's where someone like you is so important. And I'm not sure, if you're at 60 or 62 or 63 or even in your late 50s, right? How much more working for another 10 years if you don't have 10 years? Like, we don't know. Nobody knows. So I think in the moment, I think a lot of positive things I'd like to think came out of this, Leo. And
I think so too.
I even counsel, and I'm working with younger people too, that it really is time to start a plan. And I keep saying, make the coffee at home. Okay. Sorry. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. So, but you can always find a little bit of money to put in an investment plan to start with. If you're 21 or 22, start now. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're 50 or 55 or 60 or 65, you may want to just rethink this plan. That's what I'm saying to people. Like, do it. What does it matter? Right. In the end, do you really need, focus on what you really need daily? Would you not agree with this statement? You can only sleep in one bed. Okay.
That's right. I think there's the notion out there that retirement planning and investment planning is only for the ultra wealthy, and it is for the ultra wealthy, but it's probably more important for the ones that are not ultra wealthy, the people that need to figure out when is the right timing, and when those assets, small, medium, large, extra large, who knows. It's a matter of perception of what you spend, of what you have coming in, and also making the money that you've made, that you've worked hard for, work hard for you as well. And I get, I always try to. It's a matter of perspective or perception, and and the plan is more important than how far you've gotten. Let's start with what you got, and then let's move forward.
There has to be a plan. There definitely has to be a plan in place. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for being here again with us this Thursday.
Thank you.
You're right. The weeks go so quickly. Do you see the difference? I mean, when I look back to March 5th, and it's already June 4th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember that day we were both kind of glummy? It was a Thursday.
Yeah. And rather surreal, honestly. But I know that a lot of things have changed. Next week, we're going to be talking, a subject will be hockey again. And, some schools have opened. For example, British Columbia, right?
Yeah.
Optional to go back to school. And my granddaughter Trinity says to me, "Well, it's not going to be the same, Grandma. I can't hug my teacher anymore." And she's in preschool, right? So, yeah, so a lot of things have changed for them too, and the desk or distance and whatever. But yeah, it's a new world for a while anyway.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, the hockey, right, and the entertainment division, how they're going to deliver hockey.
That's going to be probably different, exciting, and it'll be good to have a sport to watch. Hopefully
Well,
soon, we'll see.
yeah, current sports, not reruns.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I watched a lot of reruns.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here today and for
Thank
always
you, Sally.
inspiring us to start a plan and stick to a plan. And what I always want people to know is once you start the plan, you don't even have to think about it. Okay?
I'll think about it for you.
Exactly. And it takes care of itself. It's really, I think it's just starting, right? And like I say, I even talked to a friend recently, and she said, "Oh, okay, your friend called me, and yeah." And I said, "Yeah, you're supposed to like return the call, right? And it's a good idea, and then you don't have to think about it again." I said, "You know, it's true, Leo. People spend more time planning a trip to Mexico."
Oh, absolutely.
So, but no, anyway, everybody should start a plan. I always think that when you turn 18, you really should have a plan. Okay. Yeah. Invest in yourself. Is that that's it for today, right? Invest in you.
Invest in yourself, pay yourself first, plan for the future.
You know, I
All
remember
good.
many years ago, and that's a long, long time ago, you know, people, grandfathers said that. Okay. Invest in yourself. Yeah. Thank you, Leo, so much for being here today.
Thank you, Sally, for having me.
Let's I just hope that every hour is just gets better for everyone out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Stay safe,
You as
and we'll
well.
talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. All the best.
You too.
And we're always so delighted when Leo stops by. You know, his message is always, you know, it's such a profound one, even though, you know, we try to simplify it, right? Start a plan, create a plan. If you have a plan, enhance your plan. Okay. And encourage, you know, the young people that surround you to start a plan. It's so easy, and many of us look back and we go, oh, well, you know, we should have done that, and we procrastinated, we didn't do as much, but there's no better time than now. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for joining Leo today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow live at 1 o'clock. And tomorrow it's Friday again, so it's Fun Friday. Next week, we have some interesting people joining us to share their experience over the last 2 months and some of the positive things that have come out of all of what they have been through. So we'll be sharing some interesting things. We have to now deal with the fallout of what has happened. So we will all learn from each other. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.